Alright, hello and welcome to another Why Would You Use. So today we're going to be talking about the Hystrix, and the reason we're talking about the Hystrix today and not Korra, which I know a lot of you are probably waiting for, is that Korra came out in such a sorry state that on the day that she came out, DE announced that they're going to be reworking how she works, because she came out in such a bad state that everyone pretty much unanimously agreed she was incredibly poor. So instead of making a video that is just non-stop infinite bashing Korra and opening D rank back up, instead we're going to talk about the Hystrix, and I'm going to wait for DE to fix Korra and maybe one patch and then a bug fix patch, and then we'll talk properly about if Korra is good or not, because they're looking to do some pretty major changes. Anyway, let's talk about the Hystrix, because the Hystrix is not poor. It is it's a pretty basic crit secondary that has an interesting gimmick and is only MR7, so it's kind of just pretty solid all around. It's a solid pickup if you are around MR7 and you think you're going to enjoy the gimmick of this weapon. The gimmick of this weapon is that it has 4 different fire modes that are all different base elemental quills. So you have your ice quills, electric quills, fire quills, and poison quills. These quills will force proc the base element that you've chosen. So if you use poison quills, pretty much every single shot you fire is going to be proccing Toxin, which is more useful than that might sound. It's worth noting that this does not combine with a further elemental, so if I make Corrosive and then add Fire and then use Ice Quills, I'm not going to suddenly be proccing Blast constantly, I will still be proccing a lot of Ice. With that being said, proccing base elementals is not bad, and even though this weapon has a really strange quirk where the base damage on poison and ice quills is lower for some reason, I have found, because Toxin is a good element to proc, that the poison quills actually perform the best. I think it's really strange that they have different base damages, and it would make sense to me that Toxin, or poison rather, is lower because of the damage that you get from the Toxin procs, but it's the exact same lowering for Ice, and Ice isn't a damage-based proc, so it just ends up being a little confusing in that respect. But one way or another, usually you're going to end up just sticking to Poison Quill mode, as it is quite good for stacking a bunch of damage on targets if you need to do that, and besides that, it of course bypasses shields. So yeah, let's just show the test. It's pretty basic. The one major complaint I would have with this weapon is that it could probably use 4 to 6 more rounds per magazine, as you tend to run out just a little bit quicker than it probably really should, which means you're going to be reloading very often. But that being said, it doesn't have troubles, and it's only MR7, so it's not exactly I'm not expecting this to kill God, right? That's not an MR7 weapon. It doesn't need to be the best in the game, as it were. And if you let the Toxin procs happen, it builds up a lot of damage. It can handle enemies with this build up into the hundreds. It's not a big deal. The major downfall of this weapon is just that it has a low magazine size, and with that, it's really not. It's not a huge downside. It's more annoying than anything else, as the reload is not super slow or anything. This isn't a Lex Prime where the reload is the major downside. It's just solid enough all around. Is it worth the 4 forma I invested into this weapon? That is... What are you doing down there, sir? That is a little bit more debatable. I think that's going to be on the back of whether or not you think you're really going to like this weapon, if you love that it shoots the quills, or if you specifically wanted a weapon that can proc base elements, using fire, and or if you like how the visuals look, as the visuals are different for each of the quills. There's benefits and gimmicks to this weapon that I think people can appreciate. So it's definitely good for its MR. If you think you're going to enjoy this weapon, you're probably going to enjoy this weapon. Maybe you have some extra forma, maybe you dump it into it. You'll have a solid time all around. And then just to quickly show what kind of damage it can output on let's just say regular level 100s, we'll spawn some of these dudes, because it's really not bad at all. For MR7, it's really not bad. And of course this is built with Corrosive to try and counteract it a little bit, but you can see stacking up that much Toxin is even a bit effective even against the armor. That's not terrible at all. For this MR7 weapon, absolutely. Absolutely sortie viable. like regular level 100 enemies are going to die in like 2 shots. Totally doable. Anyway, that has been the Hystrix, and also a bit of an update on what's going on with Korra videos and things. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you tomorrow.